Well, why the long face? The 1963 MGB Roadster, 1800cc, 3-bearing crankshaft engine, 3-sync gearbox. A few pals of mine had heard of a vehicle that was parked in a farmyard. I paid £600 for it and wheeled it home, and then gradually took the thing to pieces to realise that it was in a really, really sorry state. It's called a basket shell, and probably only about 20% was salvageable. The idea is to strip as much off as you can, to rebuild as much as you can, and then weld back on the pieces. The engine is brand new in as much that it's a rebuilt engine, as is the gearbox and the overdrive. I'm particularly proud to show off all the bits and pieces under the bonnet. Many of them are fabricated by myself, and if they're not, they are modelled around parts that are attainable, and keeping it clean and keeping it all in working order is quite a lengthy part of the hobby. I totted up the hours, and it comes to just under 3,000 man-hours. And I try to keep it from the wife, but it's cost me just under £13,000 in parts and assistance. I would never get my money back, but I would do another one tomorrow. So the dismantling continues. Lots of use of the old camera, but also these little labels. So particularly for the wiring, I can identify where everything goes. It may well be that the wiring's been fiddled with by previous owners, but at least I know what it's like now, and we can work it out later when we rewire it to make sure everything works properly. Rather nice little courtesy light here, which, Pete, you hate, don't you? You don't think it's the original? No. I think it is the original, but the lens has gone. Anyway, that can all be stowed away. I've also released all the fixings for the windscreen, which is basically 2 bolts either side and then 2 bolts in the middle here. And, Pete, this should be able to lift out now. If you can give us a hand, it should just come up and then sort of rotate forwards. Like that.
Easy.
Nice one, huh?
All right.
And there we have. Yeah, that was it's fixing that side. So
have you got it?
Yeah, I've got it. You can see actually the windscreen's cracked here, and it's also started to delaminate. So we're going to have to put a new screen in anyway. But the frame is in pretty good nick. Just keep holding on there, Pete. If you start feeling faint, don't drop it on my head.
Oh, no!
You did that on purpose. Okay, Pete, sorted. No, it's fine for me. There we go. Next bit we're taking off is all the bright work. Obviously, the biggest bits of that are the front and rear bumpers. What we've noticed on the back bumper is this quite big crease where somebody's reversed it into something, maybe a bollard or a wall. And it's quite a good idea, whilst it's still on the car, to get that back into shape, because it's fixed rigidly to the car, and you can also get a perspective of it to make sure it looks right when it's in place. We're actually going to bother doing that to this particular bumper because I want to keep it and re-chrome it rather than buying a brand new bumper with new chrome on it, because the new ones tend not to be fantastic in terms of their chrome quality. So I'm going to get this one redone. Now, the technique to do this is I'm just going to use a couple of adjustable spanners, done up nice and tight against the bumper, and then quite carefully, where it needs pulling out, just gently put a bit of pressure on to just squeeze it out. Well, there you go. You can feel it move. You just need to put enough pressure on, and then it just slightly goes. What also happens, though, is at the edge of the crease, it starts to bulge out, so I'm going to have to knock that back into place. And it's a bit of trial and error, really, just to keep doing it slowly, little bits at a time, until it looks about right. So I need to knock that in now. A nylon hammer is the tool for the job to knock this crease back in on the edge there. Gone back nicely, but it hasn't gone back completely. So I'll just have to use a metalworking hammer and a dolly just to finish that off. But that's already looking much better. So that just slots up in there. It's important to use a hammer that's slightly rounded on the edges so you don't actually put a crease in it with the edge of the hammer. OK, it's not perfect yet, a little bit more tweaking, but that is looking so much better. Nice one, Pete. Grab this. Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted. The top hose to come off. Pete, can you grab that oil cooler? The next thing to come out is the engine off the gearbox. And slowly, the car is getting lighter and lighter.
Just remember what we're doing now.
What are we doing? We're trying to do whatever's necessary to get home and have a cup of tea. We're basically taking the engine off the gearbox. Go on, sir. All right, leave it there. What a beauty. One B-series engine, surgically removed from the heart of the car. So that was a bit of a struggle, particularly because Les had to disappear halfway through that to help out a mate of ours whose trike had broken down. We've got there and we've earned a beer. We'll see you next time.